Hi, good evening. Buonasera. Como se va? How you doing? It's your boy Big Rich. Another mob story. It's spring, 80 degrees in New York City, walking around in a t-shirt. For those that live in New York City, you already know. Let's talk about the New York Mafia up to this point, 2019. Who's up? Who's down? Who's the strongest? Straight from the pages of About the Mafia. Let's talk business. As we reach the halfway point of 2019, we stop to take a closer look at the current status of the various New York Mafia families. There has been no shortage of New York Mafia news to report so far this year, having to do with all of the five families and more. And when I say more, you know what I'm talking about. Montreal's popping. When the Mafia as a whole isn't the force it once was, it still remains a viable criminal enterprise worth millions, and the New York Mafia is still leading the way. The mob has always found a way to adopt and survive, which is the definition of intelligence. Intelligent means the ability to adapt to a changing situation. Okay? They have found a way to adapt and survive, and over the last year in New York, may actually be back on the rise, at least to an extent. While we await more breaking news, New York Mafia news, we stop to take a look at how each of the families have fared of late and debate about who's currently the strongest. You know what we're going to do a little different this year? We're going to toss in a little information about the debated Buffalo Mafia family into the mix. Salute to the Buffalo Mafia, okay? Some of the New York families have benefited from recent events while others may have taken a step back. A decreased presence from law enforcement, whose main focus now has become terrorism, has given the Cosa Nostra families a little breathing room, shall we say, to stabilize and even rebuild. Some families have benefited more than others behind new administration and 2019 mafia leaders. But as the times continue to change, the mafia in New York will have to continue to find ways to survive, although they certainly aren't going anywhere anytime soon. So let's talk about the families one by one. Who's up? Who's down? Who's the strongest? Who's the weakest? Genovese crime family, the Ivy League of organized crime, is a phrase we still hear tossed around when talking about the Genovese family. They have done a better job than most at keeping the identity of the current administration a mystery. There were reports back in 2016 that Liborio Barney Belomo has taken the reins. Still one of the largest crime families in Gotham in terms of numbers, although there is some moderate debate as to whether or not that makes them the strongest. They have made more headlines in the year or so than in past, although they have seemingly been able to avoid major blows to the hierarchy. They have taken hits to their crews in both Jersey and Springfield of late and had some recent unwanted exposure from a case that included Vincent Esposito, the son of former boss Vincent the Chin. It showed the family still may have ties to lucrative union rackets, and they continue to have a presence both inside and outside the Big Apple. With a veteran wise guy like the 62-year-old Belemo allegedly calling the shots, the family's in good hands and probably still leads the way in the New York crime family. Let's go to the Gambino crime family, okay? The Gambinos have had their share of bumps and bruises of late, including the murder of Francesco Fracky Boy Cali. That's how we all met, baby. The mob stories when I put out that story on Frankie Boy Cali. The infamous Cosa Nostra family has been on the rise again in recent years behind the leadership of their influential Sicilian faction. They rank only behind the Genovese family in terms of made guys and associates, and has certainly put themselves into the conversation when it comes to the strongest of New York families today. But Cali, who was gunned down in front of his house in what doesn't seem to be mafia related, was still a huge loss. He was highly respected locally, and his influence extended outside of New York due to his family ties to mobsters in Sicily. His low key approach and old school attitude had turned him into one of the family's biggest earners and strongest voices. It's still unclear as to what rank he held in the family's hierarchy at the time of his death, but he was likely in control of the family's day to day operations behind alleged boss Domenico Italian Dom Cefalu. That's who you see on the screen right there. That's Italian Dom. The family moved quickly to fill the void, adding veteran mobsters like, coming to the screen right now, Lorenzo Menino, and of course, we did a report on Michael Paradisio to its new administration. It will be interesting to see if the loss of Cali has any short or long term effects on the family. While the Sicilian faction remains strong within the family behind Cefalu and Menino, the winds of change can turn quickly when it comes to the mafia, especially when opportunity presents itself. We will definitely be keeping a close eye and seeing whether or not the Gambinos can avoid turmoil and maintain their recent momentum. Now let's go to the Bonanno crime family. Okay, it's never really a dull year when it comes to covering the New York's Bonanno family. The family current acting boss, alleged current acting boss, Joseph Camarano Jr. and consigliere John Sancochio recently beat the feds, getting acquitted of racketeering and conspiracy to commit extortion charges. Plus, charges were filed earlier this year in a joint Canadian operation exposing potential links between the Bonanno family and the mafia in, of course, Canada. On the screen, who are you looking at? Damiano Zumo. He was an alleged acting Bonanno capo, and was caught on tape presiding over a 2015 New York Mafia induction ceremony that took place in Canada. It remains unclear what is the current relationship what the current relationship between the Bonannos and the Canadian mob families are, but the Bonanno family has been linked to the current unrest in both Montreal and Hamilton. So, do the Bonannos have their hands in what's going down as far as Pat Busitano, Salvatore Scopa getting hit? You know understand what I'm saying? It seems like a stretch that the Bonannos would still have any real influence across the border, but the historical ties are there, and if nothing else, it's an interesting new twist into the Bonanno family's current drama. This year also marks the return of Michael Mancuso. We also covered that story. The alleged official boss of the family. He has been behind bars since 2008 and will be interesting to see how his return affects the current Bonanno family administration. The Bonannos will definitely be one of the families we keep a close eye on moving forward. More Bonanno family unrest wouldn't be out of character for what some may say is a dysfunctional group, but it would be big New York Mafia news. Okay, coming up next, the Lucchese crime family. How you doing? With longtime leaders Matthew Madonna and Stephen Crea still awaiting trial, the beleaguered crime family has been keeping a fairly low profile of late. The landmark 2017 case took down three members of the family's hierarchy and multiple captains, bringing to a halt what was a fairly good run. According to the feds and some reports, imprisoned mobster Vittorio Vic Amuso, that's who you see on the screen, is still the official boss of the family. It remains unclear who has stepped to fill the current power void, but Anthony Santorelli, Joseph Joey Giampa, James Froggy Galloween, and Joseph Josie Caridi is some of the names that have surfaced of late. Now, let me see if I can get some pics here for you. Now, there's a picture of Joseph Joey Giampa, okay? That could be filling some roles as far as the power void's concerned. And there we got Joseph Josie Caridi, okay? Again, this is the Lucchese crime family, and these may be some possible candidates that have stepped up to fill current power voids, okay? Let's keep it moving. You know how we do. Now let's move on to the Colombo crime family. Of course, we covered the death of longtime boss Carmine Persico. Signals the end of an era for the crime family, although Persico's family members and loyalties remain throughout the family. The snake may be dead and gone, but it may take the Colombos a few more years to break free from the Persico family grip. Who's next to take over the boss of the Colombos is still unclear. It could be Andrew Andy Mush Russo. He could step up. It could be Ralph Lombardo, William Russo, or Theodore Teddy Boy Bela Seco Jr. The feds still consider Carmine's son, Alphonse Little Alley Boy Bela Seco, to be the family's official acting boss. Although with him behind bars for life and his father gone, it's unclear as to how much input and influence he can maintain. Now, let's go to the Buffalo Mafia. The status of the Buffalo Mafia family, has also known as the Todaro crime family, has been a hot topic of debate recently. There have certainly been some interesting developments recently surrounding the family, including the recording of Hamilton mobster Domenico Violi claiming to be the family's new underboss. According to court documents, he was handpicked by the job by alleged Buffalo mob boss Joseph Todaro Jr. after a meeting in Florida back in October of 2017. In those documents was also a reference to the Lupino Violi crime family. This has sparked renewed interest and even led to new theories that the Buffalo Mafia may still be active and functioning. New York Mafia news. Who's up? Who's down? Who's the strongest? It's your boy Big Rich with another mob story. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and if you can, please help us out with a donation. Thank you so much.